Welcome to the Rehumanization Station. I'm your collaborator, Christopher Jones, aka Dr. X, and this podcast is an extension to my flippant and vibrant brand where vibers seek to transform narratives in society, education, and sport, and a variety of other sectors. Today is our Is Ball Life series where we have an altruistic viber named Charlie, aka Fella, my big brother. Fella, how you doing?
Doing good, down here still in Katy, Texas, hanging out.
I hear you. Okay, that's good. That's good. Now, Fella, like myself, was born and raised in Katy, Texas. He graduated from the University of Houston, where he also played basketball. That's Division One. If you don't know that, he has been a teacher or coach for around 17 years. Of those 17 years, he has been the head coach for 10. Were you also the youngest? Were you the youngest black varsity coach,
I'm
head
probably
coach?
I'm I'm probably one of the youngest when I got my job out here. I'm probably the youngest in KDISD history.
In KDISD, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, okay. I remember that one. Okay. But fella's currently the head coach at basketball coach at Katy Jordan High School. In 10 years, he has won 2 district titles, been to 3 regional tournaments, and been to 1 state championship, which recently occurred the last few weeks, 2 weeks ago, right? 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Fella has been married for 14 years to his wife and my sister in love, DeeDee Jones, who is also a teacher and coach. They have 2 children, Charlie and Jaia. Now, this is our first podcast where I'm doing it online. So please bear with me if I haven't done the audio settings right. Hopefully I do whenever the time comes. But yeah, I'm excited for the episode today. Obviously, it's my brother. We always used to clown each other because he's the, out of all the siblings, he's the darker one, darker skinned
I
one,
know.
darker toned one.
The only
It's
one.
interesting though. It's interesting how that happened.
It's
Uh,
crazy to talk about sibling. It's funny because right now you don't always look like Christian, but right now y'all look just alike. It's kind of crazy.
Really?
Man,
Okay. Because
yeah.
we do. Yeah, it's interesting. When I get him on, it's going to be interesting because we do. I never realized how much we sound alike until I actually
Right.
hear him um, on a recording or something like that.
Right.
But yeah, but if y'all didn't know, so fella is my older brother by 2 years. And now we're going to get into the part of the show where we just vibe and allow listeners to get an idea of your background and some of your personal interests, right? So, fella, if you don't mind, just give us an update. Like, what's your story? Tell us a bit about yourself, family, friends, sport, career.
Now everybody that knows the Jones family. We're a basketball family from the day we were born. Basketball was put in our hands. We were a close knit family growing up. Always at basketball, other sports games. I played soccer growing up. I think that kind of helped me as a basketball player. Um, College, I actually went to Colorado State first. Finished at U of H. We're going to talk about some of the struggles and setbacks we had in life, and kind of shaped me into the person I was today. In college, and some of the setbacks I have. Um, I always wanted to work with kids. So when I graduated, I was able to coach right away, right out of college. I think I was 21 years old when I got my first job. So I was pretty young, and basketball and coaching is what I do. I love my family, um, hang out with them all the time. I love my friends, and this is my life and I love it.
Okay, so if we want to get a bit more specific around that, what activities bring you peace, love, and happiness? Like
I
music, any
just,
type of music, or
there's the big debate right now, and I don't know if it's the same over there, but in America is the whole Drake Kendrick debate. But I'm a big Drake fan.
okay,
All I really listen to, if I'm not listening to gospel, I'm listening to Drake. So if you look at my Apple Music or my Spotify, it's 90% Drake. So Drake is
really?
Drake keeps me chill. He has music for every mood. That's why I like him. Any mood I'm in, any type of situation, I can listen to Drake. So
So
I do that.
who do you think won the battle?
Man, if we talking strictly music, I think Drake's "Family Matters" was the best song of the whole beef.
Hmm.
I've never was a Kendrick fan, so I got to start with that. I never really listened to Kendrick,
Okay.
so it's hard for me to judge him now because I never really listened to him. But I listen to Drake, and I'm always with my family. We
Hmm.
might talk about this a little bit later too. One of my detriments as a player and now as a coach too is I love basketball, but I don't it's not my life as much as it is for everybody else.
Hmm.
And sometimes it could be a detriment, but it's helped me be the person I am now. The love of my family is the person I am that way.
Okay, so we're talking about a sport specifically in basketball and how that's kind of like um, been pretty much surrounded your life, I guess you could
Right.
say, right? Whether you've been a player or a coach. Um, what are your sport interests within basketball, if that makes sense?
I just love on the coaching side. I really love March through October. And I say that because I love seeing where my team is in March and seeing them get better every single day, and then seeing where they are in October when the season's about to start. So yeah, I love competing and I love the games, but I love the grind and I love the journey of the season. You know, the season brings a lot of stresses with parents and kids and winning. In the spring, summer, and fall is really just about getting better and seeing the kids develop. And I just love coaching. I love being with kids and seeing them grow.
Speaking of kids and growing, how would you compare and contrast the generation that you grew up in, and then I'd say 10 years from then, and then 10 years from then. So the generation you're teaching now.
Right. We actually got in an argument with it this last week with my kids at school that the IQ is just different. You know,
Okay.
even though we're older and our bodies don't move the way they used to, if we go out and play against younger kids, we can still beat them now because
Mm,
they love the show. They like to dance with the ball. They like to show how skilled they were. And I'll say that kids nowadays are more skilled than us. I believe
mhm.
they can do stuff that we couldn't do with the basketball, but the IQ part is just not it's not the same, and that keeps us ahead of the game from them right now. So I'm trying. That's what I try to do as a coach is to teach that part, the IQ part, to the kids.
Okay. I would argue could or weren't allowed to do certain things back there, but
Right, right, right.
I hear what you're saying. So then within that, how do you how do you coach kids to understand? I guess I hate to. I don't want to say old school because I
Right.
don't know if we're in that category yet, but we could be. We
They call me
could
Unc.
be.
They call us Unc at school, so we get in there.
Okay, and I'm OG now, so it's. But I guess. But what about for you specifically? I guess because you were a point guard, a pure point guard, pass first. Do you still feel like that is something that is in today's game? Is that even like you said applicable to today's generation?
No, and it's really not the kid's fault, you know. And
Hmm.
I try to take pride in that as a coach. And I think that's why we've been successful. Is I break it down for people. Like we played Katy youth basketball as a kid. You played it since you were a kid. All your parents wanted you to do every time you got the ball was shoot it.
Hmm.
You from a young age you were taught when you get it, it's about you. It's about scoring. It's about you what you can do. So from age 5 to age 13, the game of basketball has been about you.
Hmm.
But then when you get to me in high school, I'm trying to teach you that the game's about the team. And the most successful teams have a bunch of players that care about the team. So when they get to me, we keep it pretty simple. I try to make basketball about this: shoot when you're supposed to shoot, pass when you're supposed to pass, drive when you're supposed to drive. It's never going to be
Mm.
the same. But if you're open and you're supposed to shoot it, you shoot it. If somebody's open and you're supposed to pass it, pass it. So I try to keep basketball really simple for our teams.
Okay. So and then this goes okay, and going back to what you mentioned about the skill level and sometimes things being a show, and obviously it's like it's not. Um, Kids are influenced by their environment, right? So if we had
Right,
certain technology, we saw certain things. I remember when I used to watch and one mixtape on VCR,
right,
I'd go outside and do the moves and do
right,
the. And if I was allowed to do that in the game, I'd do it in the game, but I knew I wasn't allowed
right,
to, so I wouldn't do it. But like those types of things, but now they can. It's easier
right,
access to those things, to like NBA clips and stuff like that. So
right,
and like you said, I guess the team aspect is different. Is it in high school a different set of rules than the NBA,
right.
right? And how how do you what methods do you use for that?
We just I try to break everything down for them. We do a lot of 3-on-3 in the fall. So, we do a lot of 3-on-3, 4-on-4 in the fall and the spring, where you can only take one or two dribbles each time you touch the ball. So we work on stuff like that. and I just stop them a lot. I don't really yell and scream a lot, but if I see something I don't like, I'll just stop it. Like, we're not going to do this. You had a person that was open. You should have passed them the ball. I didn't talk about this, but Coach Anderson, who works with me, one of my best friends, also talked about the access to gyms right now. Back in the day when we played, we didn't have a bunch of access to gyms. So whenever we got a chance to play, we were going to hoop.
Mm.
Nowadays, the kids have so much access to everything. They have so much access to gyms. It's not as special anymore. So when I call a kid up and say, "Hey, the gym's open," it's okay because they can go any day they want. We were like, "Oh man, the gym's open. We got to go." So that's hurting the kids right now, I think.
Man, you just hit it on the head because I was trying to do these flipping and vibing runs. Now I'm trying to push the brand more, trying to make basketball more accessible here in the northeast of England, in the city. And like I tried to do some runs tomorrow, free court, everything. And then I was trying to ask different types of teams, players could come, and like I couldn't even get 10 players to come and play just to hoop. And it's like, I was like, man, like is the generation? But like I think that's a great point what you mentioned about, I guess the access is different.
Mm-hmm.
But how much do you think it is also that there's other things to do? I mean, there's maybe other things that they have access to outside of basketball as well,
Right.
or
Yeah, there's
okay.
so much. We had stuff to do, but we didn't have a bunch of stuff to do back in the day. Our parents would just say, "You can play video games for a little bit, but you got to get outside." We didn't
Right.
have phones. We didn't have cell phones back then at our disposal to do everything with. So we went outside and played basketball. We went outside and played football and soccer. I tell people all the time, it's really hard to be a kid right now. I know
Hmm.
we give kids a hard time about how the generations have changed, but it's hard to be a kid right now.
Mm.
There's just so many people tugging you in so many directions, and like I have, my little fella, little Charlie, is 12 years old, and he's in seventh grade trying to navigate through life, and I have to always remind myself that he's 12, that he's going to make mistakes, and it's hard. So it's just
Mm.
hard being a kid right now.
Damn, you're right. And we'll get more into that too. Like you just articulate that perfectly. But to go back to like kind of like your story, a bit more of your story, your background, could you think of any people who have been influential to you at different stages of your life?
Oh yeah, well, Dad was our coach growing up, so it was
Mm.
always we have different styles. Everybody knows that. Big Papa was the yeller, screamer. He got some texts back in the day, and I don't get any texts, but just his really what he showed me how to do. Like you see my shirt, he really showed me just how to be a father. He showed me how to have patience for my wife and my kids and the demeanor I have to have at home. So that kind of shaped me into the person I am now. And then Coach Richardson was an assistant coach at George Ranch before I took over the job, and he was a successful head coach, and he used to send me paragraphs upon paragraphs on text messages, and he would just say, "Don't respond to them, just read them." And he kind of a lot of the quotes I have now and the way I coach now is because of him. So he's what everybody I call he's my mentor. So he's out there on the beach right now, retired, but he's helped me be the coach and the person that I am today.
Mm. Powerful. Okay, cool. And now I know we've mentioned a bit about the differences within different generations and parenting and etc. But within your journey thus far, like what are some of the most challenging moments and how did you navigate them?
Um, well, I would say over the last 10, 15 years, being married, and
Mm.
being married to someone who has strong personality, but who is also from a big family. The beginning of our marriage, everybody knows me and Dee now. They call us the Obamas, and
Mm.
we have all this love for each other. Everybody has love for us, but it was hard at the beginning because you're getting tugged from both sides. My family is used to me being around, so
Hmm.
my mom and dad, mom and dad want me to be there. Her family is used to her being around and being the only person. They want her to be there, and trying to navigate through the life of marriage with a big family. It was tough. We had our arguments, we had our disagreements, but once you realize that it's about the two of you, it's about the two of you being together, and everybody outside, you still love them, but at the end of the day, you got to come home to each other. That kind of helped us, and like right now, I feel like we're stronger than ever. But that was one of the hardest things we had to deal with is the family dynamics um, coming into a marriage.
And how do you feel those dynamics intersect with you being a coach?
You know, it's really helped me be patient. You know, and
mm,
I kind of can talk about another struggle I had, like in college. You know, I had a heart issue, and then I liked basketball, but I didn't like it enough to like, oh, my heart's hurting. Should I keep playing? You know, and I quit during college, and I probably should have kept going. But that allowed me as a coach to give kids second chances because I remember what it was like being an 18 or 19-year-old and your mind's struggling and you're struggling through life and you make decisions that you probably shouldn't have made. And you look back now and think, man, if I could do that again, I would have wrote it out and dealt with
mm,
it. So, but that's really helped me as a coach. You know, it's helped me. Kids, when adults will say, man, you shouldn't give that kid another chance. And I think, man, he's a 15, 16-year-old trying to
mhm,
figure it out. We're dumb. When we're young, we are dumb. And we're still now. I'm a 38-year-old man now trying to figure stuff out. And
mm.
it's
Like,
all the stuff I've been through has helped me have patience and be able to look in the mirror of what I've done wrong to give people more chances.
you hit on the head. That's kind of what the rehumanization champions, right? It's about understanding that life is a process. We keep learning as we go, right? There's different types of experiences, and it's important that um, not to judge people so harshly, you know. And but within, so you know, you said you quit, but you went to Colorado State, right? You left Colorado State, then went to junior college,
Right.
and then you went from junior college to at
You're a
Blinn
bitch.
to U of H.
Right.
How were those transitions? If you're a player, like how are those transitions for players out there who are through the transfer portal or just not feeling the current situation? How did you
Right.
navigate those that?
It's just hard, you know, you have to really be secure in who you are. You know, I went from when you go from you went to junior college, you know what it's like at JUCO. You know, it's different. Being
Yes.
from the suburbs and going to Brenham, Texas, I mean, to Blinn College, it was different. You know, you had to learn to meet a bunch of different type of people that weren't like you, and you had to learn to navigate through life and be strong in who you are because it's easy to go the wrong way and different paths. But you know, it's hard. It was hard going from being this Katy, Texas kid and stuff came easy to me growing up, and then going through the struggles when you get to college. So I would love to talk to a lot of college kids and a lot of kids going into college about being able to push through tough, you know, and fight through tough, and not just stop doing it because it's tough. Because it's going to be hard, and I would love to talk to them about that. But I think kids all need second chances because like I said before, life is hard, and when you're a young kid and you got hormones, you got everything is going on in your life. You know what I mean? And
Right.
you're trying to make decisions that might alter your life forever, and you need people in your corner to tell you, "Hey, it's okay. It's okay that it's tough. It's okay that it's hard."
Right. Okay, I hear you on that one. Ooh, okay. So, and I mean, I had a chance to see firsthand like how you played as well as a player, and I've been away from home, but I've still seen you grow and see how you changed as a person, going from a player to a teacher, coach, to a father and a husband, if that makes sense. So it's been amazing seeing your journey because we always looked up to you when we were younger. Always this okay because if you know, fella was the homecoming king and the class president. So he was quite popular. And then in high school, him and Sean Morris were the number one backcourt in the state, I believe, right? And I played with them both when I was a sophomore in high school. So it was good to win a district championship with them. And but since you've been around, what would be the your top three best KD teams if you had
Oh
top three?
man, it's kind of. I mean, I'm trying. I want to be talk about other people, but the team I just had now, we went to the state championship 2 weeks
Mm,
ago. I mean, they might not have been the most talented compared to the other teams, but only two teams. We looked it up. KDISD has been in existence since I think the early 1900s, and since then, there's only been two teams make it to the state tournament.
mm.
The team this year, Katy Jordan, and then Katie Tompkins in 2018. So I mean, you got to put those two teams as two of the top teams in Katy history because of the success that they had.
How does that make you feel as a coach being able to achieve that?
I mean, it's a pretty good feeling because you know going to the game, you saw all the Katy Jordan community come out and support the team, and people are talking about your kids, talking about you. it's a good feeling to see all the work that you put in, come to fruition. Especially when sometimes people tell you the way you do things aren't the best way to do it, and you have your own methods. It's good to see it, the kids and the parents and the community be able to have some success.
Yeah, that is amazing. Congratulations again on that.
Okay.
That is pretty dope. Yeah, it's cool. So, and then, okay, so Jordan, how is Jordan? Because how long have you been living in Jordan now?
Well, I opened up the school in 2020, so we got here. It's been just the fifth year it's been open. It's a good community. It's very, very wealthy community. We have like doctors and business owners. So we have a lot of kids who don't really need basketball. So
Mm-hmm.
I started out at Pasadena Rayburn where the kids really needed me. Their parents were either working, some of them weren't around, they didn't have as much money. So they really needed me to be more of a father figure. This group I have now, I love them like my kids, but they don't need me as much as other teams have. So I had to find a way to get to them a little bit different. I had to start spending some time with them because they have fathers at home, they have mothers at home, they already have really good examples at home.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a different type of place to be in, but it's been good. I love it. I feel like the kids take to me well. I've taken to the community, and I really don't want to ever leave here. It's good for my son to be here, and my wife Dee, she teaches and coaches at the same junior high as my high school, so it's like a whole family community.
That's good. That's good. Okay. Well, I appreciate that. I appreciate you, vibing and we talking about your background, your experiences. I know we kind of now we're gonna get more into like the flipping questions. So let's flip it real quick and let's try to get an idea of get more of your knowledge around hoops. All right.
Right.
So now we'll get more into your work and how you flip the script to traditional narratives within it. So I know you quite well. Obviously, you're my older brother, but much of your career is around prioritizing family, community, and empowering young players, right? And your players specifically. So for our vibe audience and us too, let's attempt to flip the pressurizing young people's script, shall we? Now, when I say the pressurizing script, we kind of had a brief conversation before here about parents, kids feeling pressured in ways that I would say are different, similar and also different to back in the day, right? There's different types of opportunities. There's different access. There's access to different things, and there's also maybe a bit, you can test you maybe you can speak on this about how it's harder, really hard to get a scholarship nowadays, or at least a Division 1 or whatever level, right? So, what are your perceptions of like traditional or normative narratives in the work that you do? So, like you said, narratives that create prejudices and stereotypes, narratives that are unhelpful for the youth.
Like you said, we talked about it a little bit earlier. Is like a lot of the issues right now are coming from parents of the kids.
Hmm.
I talked about how I kind of want to write a book on the three P's that the three P's of athletics that the kids are struggling
You
with.
will. Sorry to interrupt.
Uh,
You will
oh,
write the book. You
I
are going
will
to
write.
write the
I
book.
am going to write a book about the three P's of athletics, and three P's are the pressure to perform, which is you have pressure when you're in the game to perform because you want to do well. The
Hmm.
pressure to please. Kids nowadays want to please people, whether it's their parents, their coach, their friends, their community. They want the pressure to please people. And then the most important one that we're struggling with is the pressure from parents. I think with NIL and the money that you can get from being successful, it's easy for parents to get sucked into, man, like my like little fellow, man, the fella's good, man. He's got a chance to make some money, so you start
Hmm.
thinking about the future. So there's so much pressure from parents for kids to be successful that it sometimes is to their detriment. It hurts them because it takes away some of the love for the game. And I try to do my best to talk to the parents in my program about it and tell them just sit back and to be a parent. You know, Basketball is going to be over before you know it. So you need to sit back and be a parent and love them and give them everything they need outside of basketball.
Hmm. Okay. So, how do how do the kids respond to that as well? Like, how does that impact the kids, your players?
It's hard, when you talk to a lot of kids, when you ask them what's the worst part of the season, a lot of them will tell you the ride home after games.
Oh, okay.
And when I tell that to parents, sometimes at the parent meeting, sometimes they're like, "Oh," because it is. You don't want to after a game, you don't want to hear everything you did bad. because most of the time, if you're a basketball player, you already know what you did wrong. You
Mhm.
know you were supposed to make the free throw. You don't need to come in the car and hear you should have made those free throws. Well, duh. I,
Right.
I know that you shouldn't have turned the ball over that much. I know I wasn't trying to turn it over.
Mhm.
So a lot of times I wish parents would just say, I love watching you play. If there's anything you want to work on or you want to talk about, let me know. So it's really helped me with Fella. It's helped me be a better dad to him when it comes to sports. I try to talk to him after the game, and I really ask him, what is something you did well, and what is something that you want to work on. That's what we talk about after every game. That's kind of something we talk about. How do you think you played? What's one thing you did well, and what's something you need to work on? And that's it. We leave it alone, and it's just basketball. I know basketball can take you a lot of places, but at the end of the day, it's just basketball. And I want him to love me as a father, and I don't want our relationship to be tied to how well he performs in basketball.
That's powerful. It's like it sounds like you take a strengths-based approach, so trying to understand the strengths, even if it's something that needs to be improved on, right? It's about
Right.
asking questions in a specific way where it's not making kids feel
Right.
um, pressured to perform, and I guess disliking the sport, right? Because of parents, right? Because of the very thing that parents are trying to do is get your child or involved in something, but when like you I guess you mentioned when there's too much pressure it can impact kids negatively, right?
Right.
So the strengths based approach is okay. So with I know coaches have a bunch of stories right around what they go through, but could you share a particular moment that you consider a turning part in your life or in your career or your sport in the sport?
I would say I think it was I don't know, 2017. It was the last year that I didn't make playoffs. So we made playoffs for a long time, and I was letting the pressure of parents dictate decisions. And I got held hostage by one of our most talented players. I won't talk about him, but I, he was our most talented player, and I would let him get away with stuff. I was younger as a coach, and I let him get away with some things, and we still lost.
Hmm.
So that was the moment when I said, you know what? I don't care how talented a kid is on the court. I'm gonna coach him like everybody else because I didn't do this in that situation, and we still ended up losing. So
Hmm.
if I treat him like everybody else, we're gonna win or we're gonna lose. And ever since that moment, it's kind of helped me coach all kids. I had a really really talented kid this year, Jaden Holt. He was ranked since he was like third or fourth grade. He was ranked high, 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 and he came to our school as a sophomore. And me and him butted heads because he was talented. And I told myself I ain't letting it happen again. And
Hmm.
I made sure he did everything right. And to this day, now it's all love between me and him. So I feel like that was a turning point in my career where I realized I would never ever again be held hostage by talent.
Oh, okay. Wow, that's powerful. So held hostage by talent.
Mhm.
How do you feel like that's been an issue for other coaches as well?
Yeah, I think it is. I think it's hard. You want to
Mhm.
win so bad, so you have kids that are super talented, and you kind of let them get away with some little bitty things here and there, but then it turns into letting them get away with something else, and let them get away with something else. But if the other kids on your team see you get on them and see you hold them accountable, they'll do what they're supposed to do too. But it's not easy. I tell people all the time, coaching is not easy at all.
Mhm.
It's difficult. Everybody thinks they can do your job better than you. Everybody.
Mhm.
Everybody thinks that it's easy as Tuesday and Friday nights, and it's not. It's you got kids in classrooms acting a fool. You got kids in the hallway acting a fool. You getting emails from everybody. You have one parent saying this kid's doing something, and you have another parent saying this kid's doing something, and there's so many dynamics. I like to say that I'm in charge of a program of 60 kids. So I'm not in charge, but in charge of their hormones, their grades, their basketball, their home life, all of that I have to take into consideration. And whenever I have parent meetings, I say I never take anything parents do personal because they're in charge of one kid. It's their job to take care of their one kid. So if they feel like something's going wrong, I will never ever take it personal because
Mm.
I'm in charge of 60, you're in charge of one.
Okay. Wow. That's cool. Okay. I mean, that's powerful too. That's a way of flipping the script. And that's what I was going to, I mean, you've been flipping it so far. I was going to ask you, how is your work and what you do flipping the script? But it sounds like just understanding the traditional script, understanding the script where parents nowadays are pressuring their children more, and the ways in which you try to use a strengths based approach,
Mhm.
the ways in which you try to understand exactly each of your players, what they're going through, like you said, those four different levels, and yeah, using your own experiences and practicing what you preach as well, right?
Right.
And that's what it sounds like. It sounds very powerful. I know you got to get up out of here. I know you got to see, you got to take a
Oh, we got a
little
little bit of
further,
time. We got a little bit of
but
time.
but um, but thank you for sharing those those strategies that you have. I'm sure whoever's listening is definitely going to take that everything on board and see what this. I see why you're so successful with what you do. And but where do you see yourself, say, and your, I guess, your brand as a coach, your work, leaving a lasting legacy and positively impacting others, if that's what you want to call it.
You know, I try to build so many relationships that 10, 15 years the line from now, old players are still calling me. You know, old players have kids and they want their kids to come to our school and be around. And I think I've been to two or three weddings of former players. That lets you know I'm getting kind of old. But I've been to weddings of former players. You know,
Mhm.
I would love to leave a lasting legacy of on the Jones name and Katy. You know, when I came to Katy Jordan, a lot of people don't know this. My goal was I wanted to stay here forever, and then maybe eventually be an assistant athletic director for the district in Katy, and just leave my name and the Charlie Jones family name legacy here forever. And hopefully I can, you know, and hopefully people see me and they see somebody that they want their kids to be like. They want their kids to be around and not somebody that they wouldn't want to play for. And I try to do that. Every decision I make, I try to think about that. And it's a lot of pressure. You know, it's a
Mhm.
lot of pressure being who I am. We kind of talked about this earlier on people don't know about Katy, but on this side of I-10, there's I think four or five Katy high schools, and there's never been a black head coach on this side of I-10.
Mm.
So there's a lot of there's a lot of pressure to do right. Kind of like when we were at Cinco Ranch, you know, I had people tell me that I was the only black person they ever knew. So if I wasn't the way I was, they wouldn't like black people. You
Mhm.
know, and that's not a right way to look at life, but that's how some people looked at it. So it
Mhm.
was a lot of pressure being the person, the black kid that represented an entire culture.
Mhm.
And it's actually helped me be in the role I am today. You know, I have to make every single decision has to be right. I can't be wrong.
Mm. A little room for error.
Right.
That does remind me of, like, man, memories, like, man, because like even like in those spaces, like we had certain rules that were clearly anti-blackness, right? How do you do that with players now? Because, like, say for instance, we weren't allowed to have locks or braids or afros or
Right.
wear earrings, right? Is there like any type of dress code that you have, or anything, any like unwritten rules that you have for your kids?
No, I think our school does a good job now. We have my Dr. Kroll, our principal, is a great man. He's great. He loves diversity. He's all for everything. So never had any issues. You come to our practice. Some strict coaches might think that I'm too laid back. You know, I let them wear if it's cold and they want to wear a hoodie under their jersey, they can wear a hoodie. You know, if they want to wear long pants, they can wear long pants. My rule is when it's time to get down, we got to get down. I don't care what you look like. When it's
Mhm.
time to practice, we're gonna practice. So we have a really laid back atmosphere in our gym.
Okay, that's good. So allowing children to navigate it themselves. I mean, like young people to navigate themselves and
Yep.
let them be their authentic selves, right?
Yep.
Cool. Okay, that's amazing. Thank you for sharing everything. So now we're gonna just getting more into the concluding part of our show, where you're gonna offer us insight on around Isball life, right? So I have two more
Right.
questions for you, right? So if you could reflect on your journey thus far, what do you know now that you wish you knew before?
Kind of we touched on it earlier. You know,
Hmm.
as a player, you know, I wish I would have just known it's gonna be okay. You know, like with anybody struggling with depression and you know kids and even adults go through a lot of stuff. with your family, your work life, you're going through stuff, and you think it's the world's going to end. You know what I mean? You think it's everything's crashing down on you. I wish everybody would know that at the end of the day, it's going to, if you have the right people around you, you stay prayed up, everything is going to be okay. And I wish I would just know, you know what, just fight through everything. Don't listen to naysayers. Don't listen to people that are steering you the wrong way, and just know that everything in life is going to be okay after tomorrow. You know, when you get up, just get up and get out and do it again, and you're going to be fine. I wish I would have known that everything's going to be okay, and I'm going to be where I am now, no matter what.
And if you know that now, do you feel like, because you mentioned how you quit, right? When did you know you wanted to be a basketball coach? Then, after once you were in U, when you were at U of H and you left.
Well, I thought I used to want to be a counselor and then work with kids, but then I just thought that a lot of times, and it's not even just in basketball, people will tell you if you didn't go through teach somebody not to do it. You know, people have told I've never just smoked in my life. So people would say, "Oh, you never smoked. You can't tell your kids or your whatever not to smoke because you don't know what it's like." Um, you don't have to always go through something to be able to teach kids what's right and wrong. You know, and I realized I didn't make it to the professionals. I didn't do all this stuff, but I had enough insight and help them not make mistakes and help them navigate through the mistakes that they made, and just let them know that you have somebody in your corner that's been through stuff and that's seen people go through stuff. And I feel like it's helped me. Like you said earlier, it's I don't know what the word you use, but I can strengthen kids. It's helped me see their strengths and see what I can help them with, and turn a negative into a positive.
Yeah, strength based approach. I hear that. Okay, that's
The
man,
base
that's
approach. I'm going to have to use that one.
yeah, that's powerful. Wow. Now the internet is now getting unstable. It would be at the end, but we
Oh,
are
it
at the
is.
end, which is good. But
Okay.
thank you for answering that. And yeah, like I said, I played with fella. Fella was the best passer I've ever seen. If people know me, like my goodness, like bullet passes, very giving, very unselfish, a great defender as well. But man, it would be good to see like old film. We don't have any
I
film.
know. I
I
think I
don't know.
have some.
I,
Every once in a while I'll get in the drill and we'll do something and I'll do one of like the passes I make, and the kind of all the kids will
right.
kind of stop and be like, "How'd you do that?" I'm like, "Yeah, that's one thing I could do back in the day. I could throw some dimes."
Man, yes, absolutely. I mean, it would be good. I mean, we need to try to figure out how we can get some Cinco film. Even me, I don't even think I have any of my senior year.
Oh yeah,
But yeah, but fella was yeah definitely. It's funny how you say you want to be a counselor. We always thought fella wanted to be a lawyer because he would
oh
debate
yeah.
you for days. I don't know if you're still like.
And the good thing is we talk about this is we talk about growing and maturing. It's really
Yes,
helped me with fella because your
yes,
kids are just like you. You
right.
know, and he's the same way. So it's helped me not be upset with him. Like, hey, that's what I used to be like, and I still have some of it in me. So when he does it, it's easier for me to help him. Like, hey, fella, the earlier you can learn that you're not always right, that
Hmm.
you're going to be better off. So we have a lot of conversations like that. That it's okay to be wrong. And it's okay just not say nothing. You know.
Mm,
So the older I've gotten with like D and everybody else like that, Jaia will tell you I'm better at just not saying anything.
mm.
Even if I know I'm right, I'm better at just being like, you know what, I just won't say nothing, and
Yeah,
everything will be good.
I guess that goes by experience and who you're in the room with, right?
Right.
Okay, thank you for that. Now we're at the last part of the show. I mean, last question of the show,
Mhm.
right? So we talked about everything that you've gone through as a father, as a family man, community person as well with the Jordan community. How you've navigated being a player to being a coach. How you understand the script and understand how to flip the script using strengths based approaches and seeing the humanity and allowing people to be their authentic selves through your altruistic perspective, altruistic I would say behavior and just self. Now, with all that being said, is ball life?
And for me, it's not. Ball is a part of my life, and ball has done a lot for my life. But if basketball was taken away from me today, I would still be in charge of my family. I would still have a life to live, and I just want people to remember that. After games, win or lose, I just tell the kids, it's just a game. I know, and sometimes people look at me and say that's the wrong approach to have. And you're supposed to win at all costs. You're supposed to do, but I just feel like basketball is a tool to take you where you want to go.
Mm,
But at the end of the day, being a great person can take you a lot further than being a great basketball player. So the advice I can give to people is just be your authentic self. Try to be the best person you can be. Find your faith, whatever your faith is. I'll
mm,
take me to find out what you believe in and stick to it, and don't let people deter you. Um, because I told Dee this before. I've heard so many times. It's kind of crazy when people say this stuff, and I'll end with this. I've heard you're too nice, you're too forgiving, you're too this. The only time where people say you're too something if it's a good quality.
mm,
You rarely hear someone say she's too mean. You rarely hear people say she's too hard. You only hear people say somebody is too something if it's a good quality. So I want you to remember that. When you're being yourself, if you're a nice person, be a nice person. Nice guys don't always finish last. Be who
mm,
you are, and don't let and try to harden you and try to harden your heart. And that's just the advice I want to give to everybody that's listening.
mm. Wow. You learn something new every day. Thank you. Yeah, that was great. That was an amazing quote. I love that. I love that. Yeah, it's amazing. I'm trying too nice, too forgiving, not too
You hear that
not
all
too
the
mean.
time. You hear people say that you're too nice to people. You need to be meaner. You need to stop letting people walk over you. You hear stuff like that.
And
But
if I took it from more my the perspective that I take with the research that I do, it's because we live in a culture of domination where that
right,
is less likely to be embedded in the culture, right?
right,
It's more abnormal or atypical to be just a giving, just be an altruist
right,
like yourself, right?
right.
So, but thank you for that answer. That was amazing. Who was great? How you feeling?
Feel good. It's good.
Yeah.
Good show.
Yeah, I appreciate you doing it. I mean, I asked him today, and you just did it today. This is my first time doing on live as well, so we'll see how this goes. Thank you for doing this with me. Is there anything anybody can follow you on social media handles? Anything?
My Twitter is should be Coach Charlie Jones on Twitter, and on Instagram is Fella Jones. A lot of it is just my family and my basketball. So follow it. You can see my journey. You can see more about me on there.
You can tell Fuzz a family man because when I asked him for two photos, he sent both photos with just his family. He didn't send me one photo of just himself. That tells you who fella is. Because I was like, all right, let me get two photos. Yeah, but he
Yeah.
sent me two photos of his family. So
And
that's a
I'm gonna put a shameless plug out there. The Basketball Jones camp. We have a summer basketball camp. Send your kids. It's the best. It's the best camp in Katy. It's the last weekend in May, and then at the end of July. So if you go to my pages, you'll see some of that there. But it's the best basketball camp in Katy.
okay. There we go. We got you. See, it's the basketball Jones. Ooh.
Yep.
All right. Well, thank you for being here and talking to me. I really appreciate you giving up your time. Love
Yes,
you.
sir. Love you too.
Keep being you.
Keep doing your thing.
People definitely gonna enjoy this episode. But yeah, thank you for vibing with us.
Yes, sir.